Hello and welcome to the David Kurten Show. On today's News Talk TNT. Now, a former Tory MP, Sir Alan Duncan, who was an MP for 27 years and a government minister for 9 years, has found himself in hot water with his own party. This is because he did an interview on another channel, and in the interview, he was calling out the influence of the Israel lobby on the Conservative Party, mainly through the organization that calls itself the Conservative Friends of Israel. Now, he was talking about the undue influence that this organization within the party has on government policy, and specifically mentioned a number of people who support Jewish settlements in the West Bank, in the Palestinian territory, which is against international law, and it's against the policy of their own party. The Conservative Party apparently have that as official policy, that they oppose settlements, but there are a number of people that support settlements either privately or publicly. Now, he named Lord Polak, who is the chair of the Conservative Friends of Israel. He named Lord Pickles. Yes, there is somebody called Lord Pickles, apparently. He named Robert Jenrick and Suella Braverman, who were government ministers but no longer are, but are very supportive of whatever the Israeli government wants to do. He also called out Priti Patel and said there needs to be further investigation into a private trip she made a number of years ago to Israel, which was not recorded properly, and she came back and changed government policy, apparently, according to what he said in the interview. Now, this is all free speech, and this is all actually a very important point to make, because if a foreign nation is influencing people at the very top of government, this needs to be spoken about and it needs to stop. If this were China or Russia or Iran, and he was calling those nations out, I'm sure that he would have all the support of everybody in his own party and everybody in the mainstream media as well. But because he's calling out Israel, there seems to be a double standard here, and he's now under investigation, and he is in threat of actually being thrown out of the Conservative Party. The Board of Deputies of British Jews also weighed in, and he said he's effectively accused two Conservative peers, one of whom is Jewish, of dual loyalties. Now, according to the working definition of anti-Semitism, which has been fabricated artificially by this organization that set itself up, that's called the International Holocaust Remembrance Association, saying that Jews in general, or a Jew in particular, has dual loyalties and they are more loyal to Israel than their own country, is anti-Semitic, even if it is actually true. And there is no doubt that for some people, this will be true. This is a problem in the UK. It's even more of a problem in the USA, where it is known that there are many dual citizens with both US and Israeli citizenship in many positions of power within the Biden administration, including Janet Yellen, who is the Secretary of the Treasury, Antony Blinken, who's the Secretary of State, effectively the Foreign Secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas, who is the Secretary of Homeland Security, responsible for the southern border, where many millions of migrants are pouring across every year. And Rachel Levine, the well-known transgender Assistant Secretary of Health, who is making America a laughing stock around the world. Jeff Zients, who is the White House Chief of Staff, and Avril Haines, who is the Director of National Intelligence. All of those people are citizens of Israel as well as the United States. Who knows what they are doing for the nation of Israel? I don't know, but it is a very interesting place to be, where there are so many people with that status in top positions in the US government as well as in the UK government. We also know that there is very large Jewish influence in the media in the United States, which then filters out around the world. most of the news and entertainment that everybody consumes comes from six mega corporations, which put out 90% of the output, news output anyway, on our television screens and have outsized influence in the rest of the entertainment media. Those companies are News Corp, Disney, Viacom, Time Warner, CBS, and GE. There are about 230 media executives in those six companies, and the majority of them are Jewish by ethnicity. Now, I'm not saying anything about those individual people, but it certainly is a fact that there are a lot of Jewish people in the entertainment and news industry and have powerful positions therein. Going back to Alan Duncan, I think that he's done exactly the right thing in calling this out, because if there are people in positions of power in the Conservative Party who are influencing government policy, and many of them have a direct line and contact with Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister, then they should be questioned about that. And the government of the UK should not be changing policy at the behest of people who are working for the Conservative Friends of Israel or any other nation, whether it is Russia, China, Iran, Israel, Ukraine, or wherever. It is completely wrong that he's being investigated just for mentioning the truth. When you get investigated for saying something correct, you're really over the target and people don't want you to talk about it. So I hope that he's not thrown out of the Conservative Party, although I'm not a big fan of the Conservative Party anyway. The fake Conservative Party really needs to fall and implode on itself. So actually, on second thoughts, maybe this will be something that will hasten their demise. This is today's News Talk, TNT.